Hi there, welcome back to Cold Spring Soapery. We have a wonderful soap that we're going to be creating today. It is this gorgeous little bad boy called Harvest Moon. This is another goat's milk soap. This time it's got this lovely little moon embedded in here, so I'm going to show you my process in making this today. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, to make sure that you hit that like button and the notification button. Share this with your friends. If you have any questions or any comments, please ask things down below. I'll do my best to answer you as quickly as I can. But for now, come on into the soap studio with me. We're gonna go make some soap. Okay, so this is about 12 pounds of soap that I'm gonna be making today. And right now what I have in my mixing bucket is castor oil, organic coconut oil, olive oil, and shea butter. And I've also put in here some kaolin clay, which I'm going to just pause the video and blend that in just so that there's no clumps hanging. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do now is add in my goat's milk. And as I pour this in, I'm just going to do it very gently. I don't want to add any air bubbles. That's the worst thing that you can put into your soap batter, because if you don't get those air bubbles out, now that becomes air holes in your finished soap. And I mean, it's not going to hurt the soap, but it certainly isn't what you're after. So okay, and so that's pretty well blended. Nice little emulsification there. Next thing I'm going to add in is my lye solution. First, before I do that, I have to put on my trusty goggles. So again, I'm going to pour this very gently in here. I don't want to splash me, and I also don't want to add any air bubbles into my solution. I also have sea salt in my lye solution. That is just to help the soap unmold better. So once this has gotten poured into soap molds, it'll sit in those molds for about 24 hours and go through the saponification process. And in 18 to 24 hours, we're going to have soap. All right, so I'm just going to quickly blend this, and you'll start to see a darker, almost golden color start to come up, and that shows me that we're getting more closer to the emulsification, and I don't want to go too much further than that. So once everything is that darker color, then I stop blending. And you can see it just starting there. You don't want to blend too much. As little as possible. Okay, that's all I want to do with that for now. Just want to get as much off of my blade as I can. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do now is start pouring this off into the different buckets that are going to become the different colors. Actually, one thing I did forget to do. Most of the time, I will add the fragrance oil into separate pots, but because this has vanilla in it, I'm going to be adding a vanilla stabilizer, so I'm going to add everything right into the big pot so that I know the stabilizer is mixed as thoroughly as the fragrance oil. So I'm just going to do that a quick blend. This is a really beautiful fragrance for fall. It has a it's really warm tones to it, like some nutmeg and cinnamon, and just really a lovely fragrance. Alrighty. I also see got a little bit of water down here. I'm going to get rid of that. It's not going to hurt anything, but certainly don't want to start off with wet bowls. Those are quick to wipe out. Now I'm going to start dividing up my batter into the different bowls. Actually, probably going to have to pour a little bit out of that first one. A lot in that guy. Sorry for the bucket being in the way. Fragrance smells so yummy. Smells like fall. Nice. Sorry about that. My camera was full, so I had to go and free up some space. So while I was doing that, I just evened off these pots a little bit. So what I'm doing now is just adding the micas into each pot. I don't normally use paper cups just because I don't like to be wasteful with things, but I've been making soap tonight. Made a couple other batches, so lots of my little things are kind of dirty already, so I just didn't have a lot to work with, so I had these little paper cups hanging around. Plus, that's charcoal, and that's a pretty tough thing to clean up. So what this is going to do now, I actually designed this to look like a hay field on a moonlit night. So this gold color is going to be the hay, really pretty. And then I'm going to blend in a little bit, I don't know if you can see this, but it has a little bit of a sparkle to it, just so it gives a little bit of dimension to that hay. These two will go into the bottom layer and they'll get swirled in together. And I'm actually not going to blend the purple yet because that does have a tendency to thicken up pretty quickly. So let me just go grab my molds and move things out of the way a little bit here. Actually, I'll push these guys over this way. Alrighty, so what I did prior to this was pour into silicone tubes. Oops, got some charcoal on me. Yellow and gray soap base. So it creates kind of a moon effect. Alrighty, so let's get to pouring this part of my bottom layer. Try to eyeball them, get them as even as possible. This doesn't have to be perfection. Sorry about the potch. I feel like Julia Child trying to hold my baking dishes away from me. Alrighty. Goes out a little bit. Okay, so now this is going to go in there. Same over here. Extra in there. Scrape it out as much as I can. And I'm going to take my wire hanger and just do a real quick swirl on that. And then I'm going to let this set up for a few minutes because I want this to be firm enough to be able to hold the next layer that's coming. So let me just go grab my Alright, so this is the wire hanger. Just go down, give this a few little spins. Don't want to do too much because you don't want to make it muddy. That's enough of that. Okay, so all right, so I think we've got it so that it's pretty firmed up. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to blend a little of my charcoal and purple together. Actually, I think I'm just going to put it all right in here. I had started to separate it out into another little bucket for the piping for later, which I'll show you in a minute, but I think I'm just going to keep it all in here. I think this is a big enough bowl that I'll just do a nice little swirl in here, and then I'll be able to transfer it over to my piping bags once I have finished layering this. Okay, and you can see how thick that's got. It's almost like pudding. All right. Just get this guy, get that out of the way. Now I'm just going to gently layer this here. This is pretty thick. Create a bed for that moon to lay on. Okay, good. That's better. It's going to hold that up nicely now. Same Same thing on this guy. There. All right, so now all of this needs to set up. I'm gonna clean up a little bit, get these two colors into the piping bags so that once all of this has set up a little bit, and this is about the consistency of a buttercream frosting, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to pipe the tops. So I will be back to do that as soon as things have thickened up a little bit. Be right back. Alrighty, so I'm back. Things have thickened up very nicely. As you can see, I ended up having to move my moons away from the wall of the soap mold. My husband came down and he went, if you don't move those, then your moon's gonna show. And I was like, you are right. So I just moved them out and I filled in that little space behind that with a little bit of the soap batter. So what I'm gonna do now, I have filled my piping bags. I always keep them just in these little buckets while they're firming up. So in here, I have a star tip, if you can see that. And then the black and purple batter is in here, and it's firmed up very nicely. It's pretty thick right now. And eventually this will come out variegated with, there it goes, with the purple and the black. And I just washed my hands and you can see that my glove is dripping. So let me just get rid of those real quick, get it cleaned here. Don't want water dripping it into the soap, that would not be cool. Hang on while I get these changed. there. We are back to cut our harvest moon that I soaped last night. It's been about 22 hours or so since I made this, and it's set up very nicely, so I'm able to get it out of the mold and get it cut up. I already took it out of the wooden mold, so I'm just removing it now from the silicone liner. You can already see here, here's the end shot with the moon and the different color clouds and the layering. I'll just cut off this little end piece. Oh, look at that. Very cool. The couple of different colors for the hay and the purple and the black swirled around the moon. And the moon itself, you might not be able to see that, but when I poured it, I poured yellow, but I also poured a little bit of gray into that to give it a little bit of that effect of all the different craters and things that are on the moon. So a little bit more depth in that moon. Just need to get some paper towels. Really, really pretty. There's the back side of that. There you can see a little bit more of the gray for the depth of the moon, the swirl of the purple and the black, and the swirl in the hay. So that came out really, really pretty, and it smells great as well. When I put this up on the website, I will of course put a description, the fragrance oil, so that you get a much clearer idea of what it smells like, what the different fragrance notes are in it. But it does have a very warm and a fall scent. A really nice soap to use for autumn. All right, there's this gorgeous harvest moon, the purple and the blacks all around that gorgeous moon, the hay field. This really came out beautiful, and it has such a lovely fall fragrance. I hope you noticed that I put a little description in the video, and I just wanted to thank you again for joining me today. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that notification button. Share this channel with your friends. Hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.